In this video, you are going to learn how to multiply decimals. Now, multiplying decimals is exactly the same as multiplying whole numbers. You use the standard algorithm, but you have to think about where your decimal will go in your answer. We're going to start by solving 2 38/100 times 1 5/10. Now, we've already learned how to add and subtract decimals, and when you add and subtract decimals, the decimals have to be vertically lined up in the problem. You will notice in this one, you do not have to line up the decimals. So we are going to use the standard algorithm, just like the decimals aren't there. I start with 5 times 8, which is 40. I carry the 4. 5 times 3 is 15, plus the 4 is 19. 5 times 2 is 10, plus the 1 is 11. I'm going to be multiplying by the 1 now, so I have to start my answer underneath the 1. I put my 0 here, and I do 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Haven't even thought about the decimals yet. I'm going to add this up. 0, 17, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5, and 2 and 1 is 3. Now here's the important part. To figure out where the decimal goes, because it doesn't go straight down anymore like in adding and subtracting, I'm going to see how many numbers are after the decimal in both numbers. So when I look, I have 3 numbers that appear to the right of the decimal, the 3, the 8, and the 5. So I'm going to start at the end of my answer, and I'm going to swoopy my decimal 3 times over. Swoop, swoop, swoop. And that's where your decimal will go in your final answer. So I have 3 and 570 thousandths, or you don't need that 0, and you can write 3 and 57 hundredths. That would be the answer to that problem. All right, I want you to try this one out on your own. 41 hundredths times 2 and 389 thousandths. Now, before you write this problem down, remember, we normally put the longer of the 2 problems on the top and the shorter of the 2 problems on the bottom. Pause the video, solve the problem on your own, and come back to check your answer. Okay, so I put the 2 and 389 thousandths on top because it's longer. When I multiply by the 1, I got the same number, which makes sense. When I multiplied by the 4, I remembered to put the 0 in the 1's place. Check that your carrying was right and everything you have there is correct. So when I think about now where I'm going to put the decimal, I circle all of the numbers that appear after the decimal. If one of them's a whole number, remember, you're not going to have anything after it. And I see that there's 5 numbers there. Start at the far right of my answer, and I swoop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers over. That's where I'm going to put my decimal in. And I get 1.07949. And that is the final answer. Okay, the only time I need you to think more about your answer is when we have story problems. They might ask you to round to a certain number, or if you're given a certain situation, you need to think about the situation you have. So let's look at this example. You are buying ground beef for Taco Tuesday. The store charges $2.25 per pound. If you buy 1 7/100 pounds, how much will it cost? Okay, so we're doing $2.25 times 1 7/100. Notice that the decimals do line up this time, and that's okay. They just happen to go to the same place value. I'm going to do this multiplication quickly, and you can work the problem with me. 7 times 5 is 35, carry the 3. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3 is 17, carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Multiplying by the 0, I have to start with a 0 in the ones place. 0 times 5, 0. 0 times 2, 0. 0 times 2, 0. Now I'm multiplying by the 1. I need zeros in both the ones and the tens because I'm multiplying by the hundreds. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. I'm going to add these together. I have 5, 7, 10. Carry the 1. That's 4. And nothing to add there. That's 2. Now what you have to realize here is that the decimal doesn't go straight down because we have 4 numbers after the decimal, which means we need to move it 4 spaces from the end. So what I'm looking at here is really 2.4075. Now the question says how much is it going to cost? You have to realize that with decimals or money, you have to round to the nearest dollar. So I know that money goes to the hundredths, so the 0 is in the hundredths place. I look at the number to the right of it, it's a 7, to decide if that 0 is going to stay a 0 or become a 1. And since 7 is 5 or above, we need to round it not from $2.40, but make it $2.41 because we're talking about money. Now this answer should make sense. If 1 pound is $2.25, 1 7/100 of a pound should be just a little bit more.